to be the case with artificers. For every artist loves his own work, more than he would be beloved by it, if it should become animated. Perhaps, however, this particularly happens to be the case with poets ; for they love their own poems beyond measure, and have an affection for them as if they were children. Similarly therefore to this is that which pertains to benefactors ; for he who is benefited is their work. Hence, this person is more dear to them than a work is to him by whom it is produced. The cause, however, of this is, that existence is to all beings eligible and lovely, but we exist in energy ; for we exist by living and acting. He therefore who produces a work is in a certain respect in energy in the work. Hence, he loves the work with a parental affection, because existence also is dear to him. But this is natural ; for what the agent is in capacity is indicated by the work in energy. At the same time also, to the benefactor that which results from the action is beautiful, so that he is delighted with him in whom it is inherent. But to him who is benefited, nothing is beautiful in the benefactor, but if any thing is, it is utility, and this is in a less degree delightful and lovely. The energy, however, of present good is delectable, as is likewise the hope of future, and the memory of past good. But the good is most delectable which subsists in energy, and in a similar manner that which is lovely. To him who benefits, therefore, the work remains ; for a beautiful deed is lasting, but to him who is benefited, the advantage passes away. The memory likewise of beautiful deeds is delectable. But the memory of useful actions is not very delightful, or is so in a less degree. It appears, however, that the contrary takes place with respect to expectation. And dilection, indeed, resembles production ; but to be beloved is similar to the being passive. To love, therefore, and such things as pertain to friendship, are consequent to those who excel in action. Again, all men love in a greater degree things which are laboriously obtained. Thus, for instance, men love the wealth which they have themselves procured, more than that which they have received from others. It appears, therefore, that to be benefited is a thing unattended with labour, but that to benefit is laborious. On this account, also, mothers love their children in a greater degree than fathers ; for the part which they sustain in the generation of them is more laborious than that which fathers sustain, and they in a greater degree know that they are their own offspring. But it would seem that this reasoning also is adapted to benefactors. CHAPTER 8. It may, however, be doubted, whether a man ought to love himself more than some other person. For those are reprehended who love themselves transcendently, and they are called, as a thing disgraceful, lovers of themselves. And a bad man, indeed, appears to do every thing for the sake of himself, and in a greater degree the more he is depraved. Hence he is accused as doing nothing without a view to his own advantage. But the worthy man does every thing on account of the beautiful in conduct. And he acts in a greater degree in this manner, and for the sake of his friend, the more worthy he is. But he neglects to act for his own sake. The deeds, however, of men are discordant with these assertions not unreasonably. For they say that he who is eminently a friend ought to love his friend in an eminent degree. But he is eminently a friend who wishes well to him who is the subject of this wish for his sake, though no one should know it. These things, however, are especially inherent in a man towards himself, and therefore every thing else by which a friend is defined. For we have before observed that all friendly offices proceed from himself, and pervade to others. And all proverbs accord with this, such as that friends are one soul, that among friends all things are common, that friendship is equality, and that the knee is near to the leg. For all these things are especially present with a man towards himself, since a man is especially a friend to himself, and therefore he is especially to be beloved by himself. It may, however, be reasonably doubted which of these arguments it is requisite to follow, since both of them are accompanied with probability. Perhaps, therefore, it is necessary to divide such like arguments, and to distinguish how far, and in what respect each of them is true. If, therefore, we understand in what manner each of these denominates a man a lover of himself, perhaps the thing will become manifest. Those, therefore, who consider this as a disgraceful thing, call those men lovers of themselves, who distribute to themselves the greater part, in wealth and honours, and corporeal pleasures. For the multitude aspire after these things, and are earnestly employed in endeavouring to acquire them, as being the best of things, and on this account they become objects of contention. Hence, those who vindicate to themselves more of these things than is fit, are subservient to desires, and in short to passions, and the irrational part of the soul. But the multitude are persons of this description. Hence also the appellation was derived from the multitude who are depraved. Justly therefore are those reprehended who are in this way lovers of themselves. That the multitude, however, are accustomed to denominate those who distribute to themselves things of this kind, lovers of themselves, is not immanifest. For he who always earnestly endeavours to act justly, or temperately, or to act according to any other of the virtues, the most of all things, and in short, who always vindicates to himself that which is beautiful in conduct, such a man will never be called by any one a lover of himself, nor will he be blamed by any one. It would seem, however, that such a man as this is in a greater degree a lover of himself, for he distributes to himself things which are most eminently beautiful and good, is gratified in his most principal part, intellect, and in all things is obedient to it. But as that which is the most principal thing in a city appears to be most eminently the city, and this is the case in every other system of things, thus also that which is most principal in man is especially the man. He therefore who loves this principal part of himself is especially a lover of himself, and is gratified with this. Hence also one man is denominated continent, and another incontinent, because in the former intellect has dominion, but has not in the latter, in consequence of every man being this, i.e. intellect. Men likewise appear to have performed things, and to have performed them willingly, which they have especially performed in conjunction with reason. That every man, therefore, is principally intellect, and that the worthy man principally loves this, is not immanifest. Hence he will be especially a lover of himself, according to a different species of self-love from that which is disgraceful, and differing as much from it, as to live according to reason differs from living according to passion, and as much as the desire of that which is beautiful in conduct differs from the desire of that which appears to be advantageous. All men, therefore, approve of and applaud those who in a manner superior to others endeavour to perform beautiful actions. But if that which is really beautiful in conduct was that for which all men contend, and if they endeavoured to perform the most beautiful deeds, whatever is becoming would be possessed by all men in common, and the greatest of goods by every one particularly, since virtue is a thing of this kind. Hence it is necessary that a good man should be a lover of himself, for he himself is benefited by acting well, and he also benefits others. But it is not proper that a depraved man should be a lover of himself, for he will hurt both himself and his neighbours, in consequence of being subservient to base passions. With the depraved man, therefore, there is a dissonance between what he ought to do and what he does. But with the worthy man, those things which he ought to do, he also does. For every intellect chooses that which is best for itself, and the worthy man is obedient to intellect. That, however, which is asserted of the worthy man is true, that for the sake of his friends and his country he will do many things, even though it should be requisite to die for them. For he will give up riches and honours, and in short those goods which are the objects of contention with mankind, in order that he may vindicate to himself that which is beautiful in conduct. For he will rather choose to be very much delighted for a short time, than to experience a small delight for a long time, and to live worthily for 1 year, than and casually for many years.